Welcome everybody to this installment of Live Your Dream Monday. Today I have with me one of the special guest dreamers from Share Your Dream Friday, all the way from around the world in Australia. Oops, I almost forgot where you were today. It is the great Sandhan. How you doing today?
I like that great Sandhan. But it's funny when you almost forgot where I am. I was thinking this morning how amazing it is, because for me it's morning, it's 2 minutes to 9. For you it's evening. We're talking here on Skype and we could be in the same room, and that's one of the beautiful things about technology today. So thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. It's a pleasure to have a chance to catch up with you. So tell us what's been happening in the last few months of your life since you shared your dream on Share Your Dream Friday.
Oh, well, I told you just earlier offline I had to go back and listen again to reacquaint myself with what my dream had been, and I recognized that my dream was somewhat grandiose, that I'm still dreaming of a new humanity and a big shift in consciousness. And so I had to sit down and consider that and really tune into what do I think is going on in the planet. And I was very drawn to our recent floods in Brisbane. I mean, we've had floods all over Australia, but Brisbane was particularly badly hit because it was in a very contained area, and hundreds of thousands, well, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands and thousands of homes and businesses were affected. And what I saw was an incredible coming together of people, humanity. Aussies are well known for having great mateship. And I think that what happened at this time really represents a big shift in people recognizing what's important, being less material focused. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm a great lover of money and the stuff that it can buy and the toys and we all need money. It's an energy. But when fundamentally, the shit hits the fan, what's really important is the old values. And I see a big change happening around with that. And people were asking me, why are you spending so much time looking at the news? And I said, but if you saw what's happening on the news and the way this is being reported and the thousands of people who are showing up as volunteers this weekend to go and clean a stranger's house, I mean, I thought that was inspiring. So
it's nice to be able to see that perspective in things like the news.
Mm.
Most people already write it off as, well, there's nothing that you can actually learn from there, and it's just going to fill my head with fears and things like that, so they avoid it. But to have this perspective like you just shared with us, to see through it and to see what great things are actually happening out there in the world, that's amazing.
Well, there came a point where I did start to turn the news off, because then they go into, this is going to hit the economy and this is going to do this. And once it started to twist and go more into kind of media reporting, but I can tell you there was times I was watching in the early days, I just had tears in my eyes. And it was pretty remarkable.
It's amazing how we can come together in times of need. Like all things go aside, and we're just there to help each other.
And I mean, my long-term hope is that this is something that remains in the human psyche. I saw on Facebook entrepreneurs putting workshops together, at the drop of a hat. From one week to the next, a bunch of people I know put on a virtual workshop, and, you bought in to be part of the workshop online, and the money went to the flood relief. And these guys are wanting to actually then help businesses, re-establish themselves, and maybe even establish themselves in a way that they never did before, because, showing them how being online can actually, bring in revenue when maybe the business is still very affected in the locality. Do you know what I mean? So my wish is that this is something that remains in the human psyche, and not just something that we start to bitch and blame about and whose fault it was that there wasn't earlier, which is what the human mind tends to do. So that's kind of the big picture. And
fantastic.
Go on.
So we know as we go along towards our dreams, and we all have inside of us, whether we know it or not, we have big dreams and big purpose for why we're here and what we're to do. Things always show up to test us, to say, hey, is this really what we want to be doing? Are you sure? I'm sure in the last few months a few things might have shown up for yourself. Maybe share one of those with us, and how that might have affected you, or how you got through it, and how you kept on the path of living your dreams.
She sighs. Well, some people who know me would know I've been having some big financial challenges, and yet I'm still living in a beautiful house, and my cash flow is like a dried up autumn leaf, I think. Money comes, money doesn't come, and yet as I was going to say holding it together, but it's not really holding it together. It's holding my focus together. I have the most amazing days when I realize I'm not just in the vortex, but I'm being carried along by something that just, I can kind of observe it from a place and go, wow, that was majestic. Just little things. For instance, this morning, I went for a walk before we chatted, and I was walking down the hill, and the lady who does a printer ink delivery to my house, she does she does a round. I just saw her van go by, so I stood there and I waved because I need printer ink. And in a way, it's really a message to me that, the universe is taking care. And if I can just get into that place of trust when the big bad bogeyman is waving and the banker calling and so, I've really had to be my own coach. I'm a law of attraction coach, and since we last talked, I got my certification, which in some ways is not a big deal, but in other ways has really concretized something for me. I don't know what happened, but it's kind of, it's sent my little boat floating down the river. And, I sometimes wonder with the people I coach, how do they actually manage to stay sane? Because I have lots of skills and resources that I've been taught. And nevertheless, there are days when I'm, I was like, how am I going to get through today? How am I going to micromanage the fears that are coming up? So that's been my reality. And yet I'm still here, and I guess I have the skill to look at the big picture that says, if I'm here, this is perfect. This is what's supposed to be happening, and to trust that. So,
yeah. Well, certainly having faith and belief that what you're doing will be done, and that is your purpose, and being able to flow through the things that come to your life. It's absolutely amazing to have that skill and to know that what shows up is there to teach you something and help you to get to the next stage that you need to get to keep moving.
And I'm hearing you say that, and I don't want your listeners or my friends or whoever is going to watch this to believe that on a daily basis it's always sweetness and light. I have moments where I'm just, and then I go, okay, so what am I feeling right now? That's cool. Let's be with that feeling for a moment, because I know that it will turn if I can be with it instead of resisting it. And I think, one of the most magic days I had last week was on the back of a morning when I woke up and I just went, I can't cope a minute longer. This is like worst day ever, it's just like, it's just so bad. And as I decided, okay, I'm going to leave the house, magic lined up. And I was like, wow, that was so amazing. So I encourage people not to do this kind of rational thing going, well, I know I shouldn't feel like this, because, the logical brain goes, I shouldn't feel angry, or I shouldn't blame, or I shouldn't be with what is. Just go, do you know what? Right now I feel like, because if you can just allow the feeling, this will pass, And so I've been on a roller coaster, and I just, life has been a roller coaster. And it isn't always easy to have faith, and it isn't always easy to trust. And then, even sometimes I'm in a place of not trusting, and I go, could you just give me a sign so that I can trust? And life goes, no, you got to trust first, and then you'll have the sign. So And you know, in the big picture, good things are lining up for me. I'm going to Sydney in about 8 weeks or so. I think I haven't even worked out the date, but somebody invited me. Somebody I met on the internet on Facebook has invited me to go and do a 2-hour presentation in his workshop. And so today is the day I have to work out what is it that I'm going to talk about. What will my presentation be? And you know, things are starting to stack up, and I can see that it's time to get out there and talk to people and do my bit to help people, you know, break free of the chains.
Well, I love that idea that you shared about feelings. We tend to, and are taught to try to ignore them, or think that they're not supposed to be there. Like, just go away, get away from us. But once you accept them and work through them, and you've helped me a few times through that as well, and my wife Julie through that, and it's just amazing when you turn from resistance to acceptance of what happens in your life.
Do you know, I have a friend called Gary King, and he has an amazing presentation that he does called The Power of Truth. And he says that the biggest lie that is told in the world today, and predominantly in America, is I'm fine. So you say to somebody, how are you today? Oh, I'm fine. And you look at the person's face and you go, that person is not fine. And it is fine to say, you know, tell the story as you want it. I mean, I'm not saying go into the huge drama, but at the same time, just be real and go, do you know what, right now in this moment, I'm not feeling that great, but, you know, this will change. If I tell the story as I want it from where I am rather than, you know, and it moves about a bit as well. But I believe you cannot get anywhere without accepting where you are first. So.
Oh, for sure. Totally agree. Totally agree. We could talk forever on these topics.
My parting thing would be really that, you know, I'm a great lover and listener to Abraham, and when I'm in my down moments, I just go, okay, I'm going to find a YouTube video of Abraham and listen to that for 10 minutes, and there'll always be a gem in there. And I think one of the most profound things that Abraham says is, I am where I am, and it's okay. I am where I am, and it's okay. And if you can start from I am where I am and it's okay, then a door opens. Most of the energy is going into resisting where you are, and then how can anything happen? So,
well, we live in the past and hope for the future and forget that we are here right now. And it distracts us from what we could be experiencing and how we could be living our lives.
I was going to say, it's very nice to be here now with you. It's, 9:10, beautiful sunny day. I'm in Australia. The day's just beginning, and it's just a beautiful way to start my day, Edward.
Awesome. Here in London, Ontario, it is 5:10 in the evening and snowing in about minus 25 degrees outside. So.
I cannot imagine it so cold. So.
That's okay. Your time will come.
Well,
we'll
not minus 25 in Australia, hopefully. That would be the beginning of the ice age, but who knows what it has in store.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up and what things you're working on in the near future. You mentioned about going to Sydney. What other things?
Well, I was kind of, as you were talking and I was listening to you, I was thinking back into the big picture and this whole vision to set man free. I mean, it's not really something that I go around telling lots of people about, but I've been very much involved in my life with different spiritual masters, and I'm involved with a group of people in Chennai, India, called the Oneness University, and there is an avatar, meaning like a holder of energy in Chennai, him and his wife. They're like two halves of a whole, you know, the masculine and the feminine creating this one unit of energy. And he currently is cranking out energy to raise consciousness. And some of us around the world have been initiated to also facilitate the transfer of this energy. We do it through a transfer through the hands. And the energy is packing right now. He has he had a plan that this would go kind of through into maybe 2014, but he's brought the plan forward. So at this time, he has been in silence, and I think he's probably in silence for 21 days, coming up to the 15th, 14th of February, when apparently many people on the planet are going to start waking up. I mean, as in becoming the truth of who they really are. And I hear myself talking about this stuff and I go, oops, this may sound a bit like mumbo jumbo, but when I tune in, particularly through Facebook, to, you know, some of the different healers and teachers out there, it seems to be a commonly recognized phenomenon that something is happening. And, you know, I said in my original video that my hope is that for this planet, we cannot change from the same thinking that created it. We have to have a vertical shift in consciousness to approach the problems of humanity from a different perspective, and that has to be a global perspective. It has to be a world perspective, and that can't happen until something happens, you know, in here. And I see that beginning to happen. And, you know, people say to me, oh, you're just such an idealist, you're such a utopian, you know, you're such a typical Aquarian. And I go, yeah, but, you know, I'd rather spend my days believing that that's a possibility than looking at the TV going, the end of the world is at hand. The end of the world is at hand in a way. The end of the old order, I believe, is at hand, because if we don't do something, it is the end of the world. So I'm putting my energy into that. So that also preoccupies a lot of my time. I spend time in meditation and contemplation, and when I'm not doing that, I balance it out by hours on the internet. So I get my kind of, my physical and my psychic balance. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, certainly the tools of the internet and social media and the things that are here today and the things that are to come have been such a great way to connect people at a different level, as you were just talking about, than we could have before. Even us, like talking across the world. And there's 14 hours time difference in our time zones in where we are. And here we can hang out as if we're just in the same room.
Almost. And I think what's beautiful about it is that there's no censorship in a way. We don't have to go through the intermediary of some other organization, which means that thought, you know, there's free thought, there's free speech. And, you know, I'm certainly not a conspiracy theorist, but I think the beauty is that what somebody's got something to say, that can't be restricted in any way. So we're all there with our beliefs and our thoughts and our opinions, and there's an absolute free space to share that. And that's phenomenal, because like is attracting like. You know, like-minded people are starting to gravitate together and create, you know, strong units of energy, and it's fantastic.
It is. It is. Well, it's been great to have a chance to catch up with you and see how you're moving towards your dreams. I have one last question for you, which I've been asking all of the special guest streamers that I've caught up with. If there's somebody that's been watching Share Your Dream Friday, we've been on for about 7 months now, every Friday. And if there's people that are watching around and they're thinking about wanting to be a participant or become part of the community that we have here, but they're just not quite sure, what would you suggest to them to help them make a decision?
Well, I think it goes back to what I just said before, that, you know, it's like the power of the team. You know, joining together with a group of like-minded people, and even if the only like-mindedness is that you have a vision, somehow that amplifies, you know, the strength of what you want to put out there. Being in a team, being in a tribe, being with another group of like-minded people with a common purpose. And like I say, the purpose might only be to share your vision. And we might all have different visions, but there's something about, you know, creating a stronger unit together. And, you know, also the thing really of being, when you express something, it makes it real. You might have it up in here in your head and you may be, you know, thinking about something, but you really got to get down and, you know, right now my mind is going, oh goodness, I wonder how this is going to come out, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is the fact that you make yourself visible and vulnerable and share what it is that you need to say. Mm-hmm. You know, let other people judge it. Sorry?
Yeah, the power of speaking your intentions is,
Mm.
I believe, is the greatest power that we have.
Not just speaking it, but being seen by others when you've spoken it. You know, you can speak it in the bathroom, actually exposing yourself in public to the world on the net, not knowing who is going to see it, is extraordinarily powerful.
Well, thanks a lot, Sandhan. I really appreciate you taking the time to come catch up with us and share what's going on in your life and how you are continuing to move towards your dreams.
It's always so sweet to talk to you, Edward. I love you. It's beautiful. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. Well, that's it for this installment of Live Your Dream Monday. If you'd like to become a special guest dreamer on Share Your Dream Friday, there should be somewhere around where you're watching this video that you could sign up. So just send me your name, your email, and I'll get back to you and I'll talk with you. I'd look forward to hearing about your dreams and watching them come true too. All right, take care and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.